So we can move on to the second item on our agenda, which is discussion of current legislation, specifically House Bill 2578, Senate Bill 3115, relating to public lands, and this encompasses the Banyan Drive area. So we're going to hear a quick update on that.
This bill, of course, mimics the bill that we saw or read through last year regarding a new Waiakea Peninsula Redevelopment District. It appears to have a lot of similar language as the bill from last year, but however, there's some additional tax changes that I'm not really privy. I think it might be something that maybe Gordon might be able to speak to, some of the changes that they may be facing regarding leases and their views on leases moving forward, if that's going to change, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. Thank you. So the bill passed second reading.
Excuse me, could we have the bill number again, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. It's House Bill 2578, House Draft 1, HD1. So it's 2578 HD1.
Thank you.
So it proposes to authorize the designation of areas or regions of public lands classified as commercial, etc., and the establishment and implementation of guidelines for the redevelopment of such areas. And they specifically call out the Waiakea Peninsula, aka Banyan Drive, as one of those first redevelopment agencies. Essentially, it would pass the authority over to DLNR to work through that management, and most likely the Banyan Drive redevelopment agency would go away. DLNR is not in favor of this. Suzanne Case has submitted testimony very similar to what she had presented last year. They speak to the revenue loss, and then other things. One of her big ones was that roads and similar public kind of county responsible structures and parcels wouldn't be able to be all encompassed through the state in this new redevelopment district, and it's better to have it separated as is. But again, that's her testimony. There was other testimony in support. Department of Taxation supports it, but their focus, of course, is on how money is gleaned from that. And then, of course, the mayor wrote a very general letter of support for anything that helps to move Banyan Drive forward. So, as I said before, it passed through WLH the first reading and our second reading, and then the committees on finance recommended just a couple days ago that the measure be passed unamended, and it was unanimously voted on to pass forward. So at this time, I didn't know if BDHRA wanted to submit a letter. We still have time. If the agency members wanted to have a discussion, and then we could submit a letter either to the mayor or directly to the legislative branch to determine, if you wanted to put in some comments or concerns about that. So I'll leave it to you guys to discuss if you have any, if you want to just kind of open discuss, and then if you want to take action, you can tell me what kind of action you'd like to take on that. But that's
we are working towards putting out 2 properties for RFQs, request for quotations on.
Yeah, and what's the status of that? This is for Uncle Billy's and the Country Club,
right?
Correct. Request for proposal and request.
Yeah, we're
for
finalizing the submittals. Will be presented to the land board, I believe, next month. So we are moving forward with that. So hopefully we'll have something by summertime.
Okay. And so just to clarify for everyone, what he's referring to is Department of Land and Natural Resources is issuing both a request for proposal and a request for qualification for both Uncle Billy's and the Country Club properties, which are currently both on month-to-month leases, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And so if somebody steps forward after you submit those, then there would be a period of review on both counts, right? On the qualification side and on the proposal itself.
Yeah, they'll be run concurrently but separately.
Right,
So
right.
That makes sense.
Got it. Okay. So, yeah, thanks for that. Being that the agency supported House Bill 1219 last year and I've read through what I can, and from what I can see, things are fairly similar. We issued a letter of support for that the last time around, so we have a template of sorts, even in letter form, to go off of. So I'd like to open a discussion of issuing a similar letter of support this year for this legislation, and I'll open it up for anyone that wants to comment or pose questions.
For the purposes of discussion, I will make that motion.
Okay. So we have a motion to issue similar letter of support. And is the motion to use essentially the same wording as our last letter?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So that will have basically the same wording as our letter that went out last year in support of House Bill 1219, which within that letter, the agency, Banyan Drive
Let's
Redevelopment.
have a second
Agency.
before we discuss this.
Oh, please, yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
So Mr. Birch seconded the motion. So just to refresh everyone's memory for what that letter was last year, basically it was a support of House Bill 1219 and also a verbal commitment on the part of the Banyan Drive Redevelopment Agency to sunset itself once that bill takes effect, which was part of that legislation at the time. So we have a second. We should call a vote. All those in favor of issuing such a letter? You can speak into your microphones when you get a minute.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have no one present to oppose, so the ayes have it. We'll go ahead and issue a similar letter to last year. Any other questions, comments, or discussion regarding that legislation?